Okay,
Uh, Big Brother's watching you.
Big Brother is watching me. Hello, everyone. This is Will O'Loughlin. I'm a journalist on the West Coast, and I'm very excited today to speak with Vulture from Dead Silence. It's been a long time. I know a lot of you have a lot of questions for him and are very curious about what he's doing. So here we have with us. Welcome.
Thanks, man. This is great. Thanks for having me here.
It's great to have you. So let's jump right in. And I know just because I sort of hear the banter, people are very curious about you. You're not on social media, so they want to know if you're okay. They want to know what you're doing, and whatever you can give to us, we'd love to have.
Oh gosh. I feel like I should make that's really exciting, but it's not that exciting. Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm doing great actually, and not on social media just because I just haven't had a reason to do that. The whole Facebook thing, just I get there's some good uses for it, but just nothing I've needed to do or been involved with and stuff. So no, not hiding anything or hiding away necessarily. Just you know, living and getting a paycheck and doing my thing, and being an adult, which is kind of scary all by itself.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, I want to go, if we can, I want to go all the way back to the beginning, and then we're
All
going to
right.
work our way forward. So,
Okay.
and I want to start with, I would just love to know in the beginning, when you were thinking about this band, where were you in, physically and mentally, or what were your sort of feelings? What were you doing? What inspired it?
All right. Wow. Uh, well, the band sort of happened by accident, actually. Well, for me anyway. Way back in the day, a friend of mine said, "Hey, I know some people who are having a party tonight, and they're supposed to have this little band thing going on. Let's go check it out." And it happened to be Lauren Potter and Adam Johnson, I think was Adam's last name. Lauren and Adam and this young, like 15-year-old kid on drums, and they were in a barn. I think at Adam's parents' house out kind of east of Boulder, a few miles, and they had this band together and they had written some songs and stuff, and they were out there and they wanted people to come and see them, and it ended up being just me and like two or three other people that showed up, and it was cool. Adam had his leather jacket on, his hair was all spiked up and stuff, and this was probably 84. So you're talking the farmlands of Colorado, where there weren't a whole lot of spike haired leather wearing punk rockers out there. So it was cool. So I went out and we were there for a few minutes and checked it out. And they were nice guys and they were playing. And I just remember thinking about two songs in, I'm like, Adam's just not very good at singing. It's like he can't. He's trying to play his. I think he was the bass player. Now I don't even remember if he played bass or guitar. To be honest, sorry, Adam. But whatever stringed instrument he was on, he was playing and singing at the same time. I was like, dude, this isn't working for you, man. Your music is pretty decent, but the whole singing thing's not working. I'm like, let me look at what you're singing. So he hands me this paper. He's got notebook paper and stuff written down. And in fact, one of the songs was one of the songs ended up being on Stress. Actually, a few of the songs ended up being on the Stress EP. But yeah, and I guess in retrospect, that's pretty egotistical on my part, and it didn't feel like that at the time. It was just like, dude, your music, you guys' music, this is kind of cool, but oof, you need something. I'm like, let me try the singing part. You guys play, so you guys can pay more attention to the playing part, and yeah, there we go. It ended up being a good thing. One of those guys, Lauren or or Adam, knew Ted, and Ted got hooked into the band really quickly after that. The kid they had playing, nice young kid, but I don't know if he really was up for where we were headed. I don't even know. We didn't know where we were headed, but like, we were in our late teens, probably mid to late teens, and so this kid was a few years younger than us, and maybe a little intimidated by the whole idea. So Ted got brought in pretty quickly, and yeah, and then it was Ted and I kind of the battery, so to speak, in baseball terms. We were the battery, and then different people came and went over the years for different reasons, and yeah, there you go.
What was it, Dead Silence to begin with, or where'd that name come from?
So that's a great question. Thanks. So I had started a little fanzine before I had any idea what I was doing. I just knew I had something I needed to say, and I wanted to get it out there. And I was Me and a couple buddies, we were kind of dialed into the hardcore scene back in Boulder and Denver and stuff. It was kind of brewing with, BumCon and The Fluid, and some of these Denver bands were kind of up and coming. And I got a little fanzine going that I just typed on a typewriter in my little one-room apartment at night, and I'd go home and, after my work at Denny's all day, and I'd sit down and I'd churn out my thoughts and take part of my paycheck and run out of the Kinkos and copy 40 or 50 copies and staple them together and go to a show and pass them all out for free. And I was all excited. And that zine was called Dead Silence. Why it was called that, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Just a name I thought sounded pretty cool. And so when the band came along, that became my outlet for saying what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. I'm like, well, I'm not doing the fanzine anymore because this band thing is so fun. And I thought, so I pitched the idea, let's call this Dead Silence. And there were some conversations about it, and some other names came up that I don't remember anymore, but we did decide Dead Silence seemed to work pretty well. So so there you go.
So was it in the early days of like songwriting? I mean, did it come from sort of the same ideas of the fanzine? Is there a parallel there, or can you speak to that?
Yeah, I did. The fanzine tended to be pretty political, I guess, and that's just where my thoughts were at the time. I didn't grow up in like a necessarily political family or nothing like that. It was just that was where my brain was at the time. I was really interested in what was going on in the world and what was going on in our town, and just wanted to share some information and have my thoughts out there on what that information was and what was going on, and wanting people to be a part of it. I think always from the beginning, even the fanzine was really about getting kids involved in change and positive change, I guess. Not to start sounding corny or anything, but that's kind of where the fanzine started from, and where the band, being a quarter of the band all the way through, or a fifth of the band, depending on how many people we had. That was just my direction. And, I wasn't necessarily, throughout all the years, not necessarily responsible for all the lyrics, but probably a lot of them, and just the ideas and the direction as far as where we were going, as far as what Dead Silence was saying. A lot of that came from me, for better and for worse. So the fanzine kind of grew out of my notion of, man, these are the things I'm seeing around, and things can be better than this. I just believe things can be better than this. So let's make things better. If we're not going to do it, who's going to do it? So, and obviously I'm not in the band anymore and too old to be running around and screaming like that. But now I teach school. I teach middle school. I've been doing it for 20 some years, and it's the same thing. I just try and get kids motivated and hey, look around. And as a teacher right now, I teach literacy. So really, I'm being paid to teach kids to love reading, which is awesome. There are plenty of kids who don't, but my main motivation is, God, I got to get you to enjoy reading, because there's so much to learn and so much to know if you were reading. And then take that information and do something with it. It's like, make a difference, in your community, in your house, in your neighborhood, in the country, whatever. Just go to, make this better. So yeah, I guess I still do that, just in a different format, I suppose.
Sure. Well, I got a couple of questions that you're really going to have to dig in the brain filing cabinet for. But I just want to ask you, I want to ask you, like, what you recall about recording and being in the recording studio, and that whole process. And especially in the beginning, I think, when maybe it was more foreign to you.
Yeah, it was brand new. We had never done that before. There was a lot about Dead Silence, the band. We totally made it up as we went. Not just the recording, the touring, the show. We had no idea. We just show up and put something out there and see what happens. So we did a lot of that. I saw your interview from a few weeks ago, Will, with Ted, and I remember him talking a little bit about the recording process, and he remembers details way better than I do. But we pooled some money together. We only used, I think, two different studios in the whole 10 or 11 years of the band. Both of them were in Denver. Both were 8-track studios. We just recorded on 8 channels. We recorded everything live. Um, with 8 channels, you don't have a whole lot of room to go back and do anything different. So we would just keep playing the song over and over until we got it right at the same time. Or we just got so tired of playing that song for the 20th time. It's like, this is it, man. There's got to be something in here we like. So, every once in a while we get lucky and we'd record a song in one take. It'd be like, oh, that was great. It's not going to get better than that. Let's just put it out there. So, and then some songs took, 8, 10, 12 takes. But yeah, so we were limited on money. 8-channel recording wasn't super expensive, but we're all just working restaurant jobs or whatever. And so pool money we have. So how many hours do we have? This is what we want to do. This is how many hours we have we can pay for. And we're going to go in and get the best we can with what we've got. And it turned out pretty well, I think, most of the time. And now I'll add to that, this is just my own personal opinion, not speaking for anybody else in the band, but there's not very many recordings that we did that I thought really, truly represented what I thought we should be and sound like. I, now looking back and over the years looking back at the band and stuff, I always thought our live show was really what we were about. I don't know that we got that recorded very well in a studio. But then I listen to some of the stuff of us live that I hear once in a while. Somebody's got a recording of a song and I'm like, we played that way too fast when we were live. But when you're there at the live show, it didn't seem too fast because there's so much energy there. And, it goes up twice as fast as it was in the studio. So in my brain, I was always trying to get that studio to sound more like what I thought we sounded like, or what I thought I wanted us to sound like. And we got really close on a couple songs. And again, this is just strictly my opinion. It's not that we didn't have anything that I liked. I love all the stuff we recorded and all our music. I really enjoy it. But, just like people with kids, you got some kids you like better than others. I got a couple songs that I thought we did in the studio better than others. And I like them. And I know those songs because every once in a while I'll put something on. I don't listen to Dead Silence a lot, just in case anyone's wondering. Just like many of you, I don't like to hear my own voice. So, but if like working on the box set and we're going through some old recording stuff, and every now and then I'll listen to a song and it gives me goosebumps, and I'm like, we did that one just right. That's awesome. So, so the studio was fun. We didn't know what we were doing. We were very fortunate to have engineers at both studios. Mark Derryberry was the first guy we worked with. He was awesome. Ted talked about him a little bit. And then Park Peters, who's still, now he's helping Wayne work on our box set stuff a little bit. They were just amazing, and they knew what to do and how to steer us a little bit. And we kind of knew what we wanted. So we would push back if we needed to, but mostly it was like, we just set up and we played it live, and we played it until the last note rang out, and we're like, yep. Everyone looked at each other like, that was it. That was the one. Next song. Let's go on to the next song, because time is money, guys, and we don't have very much of it. So let's keep going. So
Well,
anyway.
so I'm going to get burned if I don't ask you, because someone wants to know what those couple of songs are. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask you what those couple of songs are.
And I know we haven't talked much about the box set yet, and you may have questions about that. I'm not sure, but the two live tracks we're going to put on the box set are Faith River and Victims of Yourself. And those two in the studio, we nailed it. Those are two of my all-time favorite DS songs. I love those two songs. I was so excited when Marshall found those two tracks live, and they don't sound, the live tracks don't sound live to me, unless, if we didn't say these are live tracks, I don't know if people listening to it would know. They were run through the soundboard at whatever show we were doing. And so it almost sounds like a studio recording, but yeah, two of my favorite songs, those two. I love those songs. So I'm glad those are going to be in the box set live versions, because like those are two of my favorite Dead Silence songs.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
for clearing that one up. So I have another thing that you touched on a little bit about this, a minute ago, and that is what do you recall about touring? Because I also want to point out to everyone that touring in that day, where there was no cell phone, no GPS, no World Wide Web, very different thing, right? So do you
Yeah.
have any sort of thoughts about that, or reminiscent about some times that were great or maybe not great, you know?
Well, as far as like putting a tour together, again, that was something, there was no manual for it. It's like I wanted us to get out and, or we wanted to get out and play. We loved playing in Boulder, Denver, sometimes. Denver was a whole other planet. Rapid City, we played a ton. Um, so there were some places close by that we'd like to play a lot, but quickly we thought we wanted to get out on the road and make that part of the experience, but we didn't know what to do. So honestly, my landline telephone, my Maximum Rock and Roll magazine, and a notebook. And I started going through scene reports, recording phone numbers, seeing if it was a place that we could get to, calling Schmo up on the phone in Kansas City and saying, hey, we're this punk rock band from Boulder. We want to come play. And yeah, back then, Maximum Rock and Roll, the scene reports, I mean, that was it. That was how we built all of our tours, just that way. Sometimes it worked out really well. Our very first show on our very first tour ever was Kansas City, and we were so pumped. We loaded up that old Suburban, man, with all our equipment, and we're like riding across Kansas, 10 hours, miserable geography, and all excited. And we get to this place, and there's nobody. It doesn't exist, man. The venue didn't exist. There was nobody there. There was no show set up. We're like, wow. All right, on to Des Moines, and off to Des Moines we went. Luckily, in Des Moines we had a show, so that was really our first show. But wow, we could talk tour stuff forever and ever and ever. There's some great, great, great shows and great places. Many of them I probably don't even remember. I'm sure I'll mix up towns and people and stuff. But yeah, there was some buzz kills too. There's some bombs. We played with the Offspring in Lawrence, Kansas, to nobody. Nobody came. It's like, what if you threw a concert and nobody came? No one came. I'm like, the Offspring? You got to show for the Offspring. It's like, okay, you don't show for Dead Silence. All right. But nobody showed up. So apparently the Who was playing, back to Kansas City. The Who was playing in Kansas City that night. And the whole punk scene from Lawrence, Kansas, I don't know how big that was. They went there. So we played to the sound guy, but it was fun. They were such nice guys. But so all kinds of stories like that. But again, back to your original question, Maximum Rock and Roll, that's how we did it back in the day. You're right. No internet. We didn't know who we were calling. We didn't know if they were trustworthy. We didn't know if they were going to, kill us all. We had no idea. But 95% of the time, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Do you also touched on this a little bit previously, but are there a lot of like live recordings or tracks that perhaps were recorded at the time but not released? Do you have like a closet or a box full of things, or?
I wish. I don't even. So no. Short answer is I don't have any of that stuff. Don't have live recordings. Got a couple of cassette tapes. Some of them still play, some of them don't anymore just because they're so old. They just don't last. In fact, I'm trying to think. I think in digging around, now that Wayne started this box set project, I've been digging around for the last couple of months, and I think I've got a copy of everything we've released in vinyl, but in most cases, just one copy. So don't own a single Dead Silence t-shirt. I'm really bummed about that. I wish I had a few of them, but I don't. So no, not a lot of hidden gems. With this box set, Joel and Jody and Ted and Marshall and I are working with Wayne to put this together. And boy, those guys are pulling together tons of stuff. We're getting some great photos that we're finding and old flyers that I haven't seen either ever or in years and years. So it's cool just kind of bringing all that stuff back together, but most of that's not coming from me.
Hmm.
I just, not for any particular reason, I just didn't hang on to that stuff. I wish in some sense, I wish I would have. But you know,
So we did talk with Wayne. I think you saw it. I hope you saw it.
yeah, I did.
But
Awesome.
so how did, how did this whole, let's get to the box set. How did it start to happen, or what were the circumstances around it?
Yeah, good question too. So Wayne and I have a mutual friend, Brett Clark, Dr. Brett Clark now. He was a Rapid City regular. And again, we used to go up to Rapid City and play all the time. It was like the closest town to Boulder that we could go play out of town. So we went up there a lot, and met Brett and stayed in touch with him over the years. And he connected me with Wayne, or Wayne with me, at some point in the last year or year and a half ago. And yeah, and Wayne said, "Hey, this is what I'd like to do. Would you guys be interested?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know about the rest of the guys, but heck, why not? Sure, that's awesome. Let's do it." So yeah, what a gift on his part to be putting this together. This is nothing we've talked about or thought about doing or anything. I like the idea of putting the last four releases that we had go out together again. I always thought we could do like a second Unlearning CD at some point, but when the band split up and people went their separate ways and everybody's got a life and a family and so on, it's hard to get the money together for something like that and to get it working. So, here's Wayne to the rescue. He's like, "Hey, I liked you guys in Rapid City. I remember you. I know you've got this material out there, and um, so I want to put it together. Do you want to do it?" I'm like, "Yeah." So we were working on it.
Well, that's kind of what brings us here, of course.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so there've been a lot, I was very surprised to see news about that. And then I got more enthusiastic and started, like, lighting the flame, so to speak. But
yeah. Well,
um,
thank you.
while we're talking about Rapid City, I got a few more here, but while we're talking about Rapid City,
Okay.
and I have to ask you if, because I know you all have a very serious history in that city, playing shows
Yeah,
in that city, and about this reunion scenario, or if there's an opportunity in the future, or I'll just leave it at that. So
yeah. We talked about it. We talked about it a couple of years ago. I'd heard about that. I had no idea something like that was happening every other year there. So we got wind of it, and it's like, "Oh, wouldn't that be cool?" And I got a hold of Ted and said, "Wouldn't that be cool?" And Ted got a hold of Joel and Jody, and it's like everybody thought it was cool. And as it got closer, it was like that. It'd be hard to work out. And then there's the reality of it. It's like, well, there's a couple of realities of it. One is, can we get everybody together? Ted's in Texas and Joel and Jody are in Denver and I'm in Oregon. And so there's that aspect of it. And, again, families come involved. Does my family want to make their summer vacation Rapid City, South Dakota? It's a hard sell, that kind of stuff. So we did talk about it. It sounded exciting. It kind of fizzled out. I don't even know. I would say COVID had something to do with that, but I think that was probably a couple of years before that even. So now moving forward, I don't know. Never say never with this box set coming out. It'd be cool. I don't honestly know that I could do the vocals anymore like that. I don't know. I haven't tried it. In my head I could. In my head I'm 25 and I can get up there and bust out a DS show and have a great time. But after the second song, when I can't talk anymore and I blown my knee or something, so I don't know. We'd have to see. But I'll say, and not to be funny or anything like that, but maybe, never say never. With this box set coming out, maybe they do something not this summer but following summer. Who knows? It'd be fun, I
yeah,
think.
I agree, and so do many
Yeah.
that are
Oh, good,
cheering
good.
for it. So the band was together, you said, about 11 years, is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
And so what were the combination of factors that sort of, led to the end, I guess we could say?
Well, Ted mentioned this too in the interview. We were together for quite a while, and then we split up for a little bit, and then we got back together again. And when we got back together, Ted had moved to Austin already, and so Marshall joined us, and so on. So um, the details are fuzzy, and but I'll tell you what I think I remember. So we went through the first iteration of the band from '84 or so through, I don't know when, 90, maybe something like that. at that point, we had been doing the band for a long time. It was wonderful. It was awesome. But I always knew that I wanted to teach also. In fact, so kind of a backstory. The year that we really got the band going and got started, I guess that was 84, I think. I had applied to CU, University of Colorado, and been accepted as a conditional student because my grades in high school weren't college grades. I had no business or plans on going to college. No one in my family before then had ever gone to college, but I knew I wanted to teach. I wanted to work with kids some more, even after, at that time, I didn't know the band was going to do what it did. But anyway, so I got accepted conditionally and I walked into a classroom. My first classroom was a summer classroom and I was so out of my element and so overwhelmed. I'm like, what are you doing here? I turned around and I walked out, withdrew from those classes. And then with a little more thought that summer, I thought, you know what, let's give this band thing a try and let's just see if this music does it. I don't know what this is going to look like. And I want to do this now because I can always go back and try the school thing again when I don't have a voice anymore and I'm wearing hearing aids and so on. And both of those things came to pass. But so, yeah, so I think we did the first iteration of the band for 6 or 7 years or so, and then we stopped it. At that point, I think I was ready for school. And I think the band it felt like it had kind of run its course. So I got back into CU, had a rough first year, but kind of figured out how to make college work a little bit. And then after I think my second, maybe my third year, kind of got a groove going, knew what I was doing. Like, okay, I can do this. Let's revisit this music thing again, because there's still some stuff out here, some people out here we know. We know the scene, we know our way around. We really love doing this stuff. I still got a few things I'd like to share with the world. So we got it back together again and did a few more years of that. And that's when you, disclaimer, or not a spoiler, I guess, that's when you joined us for I think that was our last tour when we did the West Coast. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a credit in one of the records. So Mr. William
Yeah.
O'Loughlin.
Yeah.
So
It was,
everyone, I know you all have these records. So you go ahead and get that record out. It says Mr. William.
yeah.
I always
And the little
expect to be
photos that we
addressed
found.
very you know, properly.
Yeah.
Does it surprise you that the music still resonates with people?
Oh, absolutely. It's awesome. It's wonderful. It's very gratifying. Yeah, it's great. And I'm glad that people who have gotten older, I'll just speak to this part of it. The people who have gotten older, like we all have, still find some value in that, even if it's just nostalgia. Um, you know, so yes, yeah, it is. It's really wonderful. It's humbling and gratifying and yeah, surprising. I would never have guessed, never have guessed it. If we sell 10 box sets, I'll be so excited. And I'll buy 5 of them and just send them to some people I know. Even they won't have record players, so they'll be like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? But yeah, so it's pretty cool. But it does make me, for me personally, it helps me reflect on all the cool stuff that happened because of the band and we met so many people and saw so much good music, and we saw so much crappy music, and sleeping on floors and being in places we had no business being, and then being in some really great places, and having the chance to thumb our nose at Green Day and just all the different people and bands we came across, and the people we meet, and the parents who'd wake up in the morning and make pancakes for us because we're sleeping in their basement. There's so many just really cool memories and just things that are tied into that. It was wonderful. What a great life experience. And I don't follow like anything current going on in hardcore right now. I don't know anything about that. I'm still a diehard Chumbawamba, Dead Kennedys. I mean, I listen to them every single day still. Old Clash stuff. So I still love all that old stuff. There's probably some new stuff. Kids are doing some new stuff, hopefully. Boy, keep going. Just do it. We need it. We need new voices. We need new energy. I thought that the 4 years of Trump was going to be like the revitalization of punk rock, and maybe it is, and I'm not tied into it anymore. But if it's not, man, somebody out there, please get something started, would you? Because because if we have to go through that again, oh my gosh, I do not know if we're gonna make it. That was awful.
No, it's funny you say that because I told Wayne, when I was talking to Wayne, I go, after 4 years of Donnie in the White House, we need Kevin more than ever.
And it's funny because we talked about writing some new songs for the box set, and this was last year, and I jotted a bunch of notes down and some thoughts and stuff, but my brain was, if your brain can be tongue tied, my brain was tongue tied. It was every single day the stuff that I would read and see and hear, just like what everyone else is seeing and hearing when that guy was in office. It was stifling. It's like, I don't even know how to write this. It's like, it's so obvious that what do you don't have to turn this into some parable, or I mean, it's just so ridiculous and so obvious. Thankfully, Jello Biafra's, I think this month has a new album coming out with whatever iteration of band he's in now, and I can't wait because he's got a bunch of Trump stuff in there. It's like, yay, thanks Jello for like having the wherewithal to like put these thoughts on paper and in music, because I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I didn't know what to do. So thank God he's gone. At least
I know, right?
Oh my God.
That's great.
Anyway.
That's great. Well, listen, we're about to get on out of here, but is there anything I didn't touch on that you wanna say to anybody, to people, to the people out there?
Well, thanks.
That's kind of putting you on the spot, I know.
No, I mean, really, just for anyone who's interested, thanks for being interested, and thanks for having been interested. And hopefully, you and I can do this often, because I love to chit chat, and I'd like to add, one of these days I want to interview you on your show, because I've got some questions for you about touring and stuff like that. So we'll get there someday maybe. But as far as like today goes, thank you for the opportunity, and it's great talking to you and anybody who's interested in listening and has supported us. And yeah, I just appreciate it. Wow, it's humbling and it's awesome. And don't quit making the world a better place, please, because we sure need it.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. I totally appreciate it. We won't get off, but I'll hit stop.
All right.